quite the drop overnight. At least as a community, this is something we've been able to stay ahead of. Came on yesterday and talked about how you don't want to be buying the dip until you get to the actual dip part. Now we're starting to get towards the drop off areas where it's starting to become a little bit more favorable. Is this the bottom? I mean, we're significantly oversold in the 2 hourly, the 3 hourly, the 4 hourly, the daily, the weekly. So at some point here, we're gonna have to have a volatile retracement, a volatile retest. Um, the big thing we're still looking for is we did break down out of that rising wedge. The technical target is around 72,683 ish. Now, does it come all the way down there? That's a question that we don't know. We came down and filled out the short target we had yesterday, so I feel pretty good about that. It hit almost dead on at 80,680. I think it came to 80,519, so hit it perfectly in that zone. This morning, what's the best thing to do if you're considering buying, or if you've already bought on that drop? You know, that's something we're all gonna have to ask ourselves. If it was a proper spot for you, if you felt comfortable buying it, depending on if you've been in the market, if you've sold off the market, if you want to be a part of the market, or if you still think that this market is not right for you. There's a lot of different feelings. There's no wrong answer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you are wrong for not wanting to be in the market, or that you're wrong for entering on that drop. If I was going to enter on any of the drops I've seen so far, if I was part of the community, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not speaking for position wise right now, but I'm speaking in general. That would have been more attainable than the last couple ones we've seen. Another key point this morning, though, is gold's not necessarily doing so bad, down about 0.4%, but silver being down under $50 is kind of an interesting starting point here this morning. It came down quite a bit farther overnight to about 48.62. Kind of feels like this could be the start of that reversal back down for back testing, but we'll see, because silver could very easily get back above $50.50 and then reverse this feeling. But once it's below 50.50, that's a interesting spot. Just like we're stuck inside of this little short formation with gold, and once it loses this 4,044-ish, 4,040, could get a little dicey here on the way back down, because I still think it needs to at least validate one of these two uptrends. It's either going to validate somewhere in real time around 36.54, unless it just breaks out, which is always a distinct possibility with the way the markets are going. But yeah, so that's something we'll have to deal with. And I'll keep an eye on gold and silver and things like that. We're going to take a very deep look at crypto, because obviously that was a hell of a drop. I'm actually very happy with what happened in that drop. If you're still paying attention position wise, or if you had stuff on the sidelines, I mean, is that the ultimate time? We don't know. This is the time now where we don't know. For XRP right now, I'll tell you right now, this morning everything's coming up to a rejection point. We'll see if it gets rejected or pushes back through. The first sign we want to see for XRP is right here. First signal that maybe we're starting a nice reversal would be to get past 195. It's had a nice drop down into that low. Remember, $1.77 to $1.82 was my target for XRP's drop. And then if we're going to make a reversal, this would be the first area I thought we could actually do it. A lot of my stuff fell into the zones I talk about. So, you know, does anybody else notice that all of our names are different? Yes, I do actually. It added your full names on here. YouTube's been doing a lot of stupid stuff. I just tell it like it is. It's not the greatest thing in the world. But when you start looking at the setups, and you start looking at where we're at, these have fallen down into these zones where we were talking about the daily would clear out when it got down here. Now the monthlies, little bit off still. Monthlies are a little bit off still. Haven't come into oversold, so that's obviously something to pay attention to. But look how far down we did come. Now, when the USA wakes up, This is where it gets very, very, very dicey. You have to decide if you want to be in this market or not. You have to decide if you want to be in the market. I got you out of the way before that big drop. And I said, when this next drop happens, you've got to make a decision. Now, do we come down to 23.45? I don't know. That appears to be the area. Let's see if we go all the way back here. And I'll get to what I've been doing and things like that. I'll update you on my son real quick. His fever is starting to break. He's in a much better spot today than he was yesterday. He woke up. He's more active. We're going to try his milk after I do this live. He ate yesterday by mouth, and he was able to keep it down last night, which surprised us. We didn't know he was going to eat by mouth, and then all of a sudden he just did. And then he started drinking his water, so that was a great sign for T. He's doing a lot better this morning. He's still not 100%, but nowhere near yesterday. Actually, it's not 23.45. It's like 24.60 maybe, if we look at it that way. I think I might be a little more comfortable with that, guys, if I'm being honest. Yeah, 24.60, because then if it breaks down that barrier, then we got a real problem. Because then we'll come to 15.40. Honestly, what we did last night, it's, I don't know. In the comments, did anybody take advantage of that drop? Just out of curiosity. A few of them I seen that I was up from Tuesday until Friday at about 12:30 a.m. So like I was out when I fell asleep. I was out until 6:30. I fell asleep. I was out. So like as far as Linnea, I didn't see it down here. It is back within the zone. It didn't quite come to 841, but it came to 859. Close enough. You know, in a lot of regards. But we have to see exactly how we bounce this morning. What I like, though, is look how cleared out we are with the RSI stochastic. This is exactly what we talked about a few days ago. Just let it clear out to the rest of the way. And then if you want to take a shot, I mean, at some point the market with all the liquidity and stuff, but what's going to happen here is we're going to have this quick run like we just had. Now we need to see where we shuffle out. So, you know, I would not be mad at anybody if you came in here this morning and said, hey, Tom, I took your advice at 110K. I took your advice at 95K, and I watched for that 80,000. I looked at some of the zones like I watched for IOTA instead of buying it in this consolidation. I looked for your bottom down there at 1066, like we had it, 1050, and it came down there. I looked for your, and now if it falls out of here, see, here's where we can have control of the market now. If you invested with how oversold, look at the weekly, look at the dailies, look at the 4 hourly, look at how oversold we are now. If you took advantage of these drops, now all of a sudden we're looking for a retest at like 12:15. And yes, it might not be, I'm going to hold it for the end of time, right? But now all of a sudden, again, you've got this market by the cahoolies. While everybody's running away, now you can sit here and go, well, you know, like for me with IOTA, for example, I went from 40,000 to 80,000. And let me see what it says now. Because I don't know if this is going to be the end-all, be-all ride of the century or not. We don't know. But all I can do is buy level. You know, it's buy level. So I'm trying to show this in the best possible way so I don't confuse people. Man, see how these are bouncing right now? And it's not like there's crazy volume. But when you come down so far, you've got to have the retest up. And these are the zones where a lot of people become afraid to buy. Where if you start watching the actual chart, you can start to make a unified, you know, decision here on your own. Nobody can make that decision for you. There's no wrong decision here. It's your portfolio. Is this the best time to buy? Can you hear a tree in the woods when it falls? I mean, you know, these are great questions. These are great questions, ladies and gentlemen. These are great questions. I have the feeling here because how far we came down. Do you buy? Can anybody answer that for me? Because my philosophy is, yes, if I bought back, and I'll get into what I did or didn't do, but when it gets to a point where I want to buy back, remember, when I'm doing this stuff, even if I were to buy back, let's say I didn't buy back at all and that XRP's at $1.92, well, it wouldn't be at this exact moment, but you're selling above to buy the big drops, and then you're trying to see if you can wait out the consolidation back up. So we had 3 different drops during this drop where I said, this is not the real drop. Look how out of whack we are. Now you start looking at some of the positioning. And am I 100% that we bottomed out right now? Absolutely not, because we didn't hit 72,000 and some change. Do I think a good starting point is at 80,404 right now? I do. Unlike yesterday, I think if we were going to have a reversal, this is where I would personally do it, because I think a lot of people are afraid. I think a lot of people are scared. I think a lot of people are broke. I think a lot of people don't have any money left. And I even said yesterday and the day before that people would buy this zone, they'd buy the drop. And then I showed the target where you should start buying if you were going to. And it basically, I mean, it hit it. Everything hit exactly where we talked about yesterday. So then I'm sitting in a spot where I'm like, I don't really want to buy anything. You know, I don't really want to buy anything, but it starts to, the market might demand, or it could have, it may have not. And that's why I keep asking everyone. I want to start out talking to everybody and see what everybody thinks. Because me personally, with that 72K out there, it's something in hindsight. Now, I look at a couple things that started the premature run. Like, I like seeing Epic up 6%. That is one that hit my target, but I was sleeping, so I never got a chance. It was at 40-something. I moved it up to kind of look at it like this, but I don't know if we need to. We could keep it in the small channel setting. We can keep it like this. And then we could see why it bounced. We could say that it's starting to settle itself out. And we can look like this now. So we can get evidence of the back end. So there is evidence that we could have, in the very preliminary on certain things, may have done exactly what we needed to do. Now, the other argument is, for whatever reason, Epic didn't dump out as much. You have a couple things that didn't dump out as much. The other argument is we're going to come up here for a rejection this morning. The USA is going to wake up and say, oh my God, look at this deal. Right down the freaking rabbit's hole. Okay? That's the other scenario that can play out here. So, you know. What I would suggest here is if you're out of the market, or if you were out of the market, what's wrong with sitting here now and seeing how it consolidates when the USA wakes up? If you didn't buy the very at 80,000, now you see the pedestrian bounce back. And the weekly, I would expect it to come to 66. I don't know if I'd expect 66. Damn. See what it's at in the actual Bitcoin. And you know what bothered me yesterday? When everybody should have been fearful before that last drop, they did exactly what they did the day before. They bought the up instead of waiting for the next big down. Like, Bitcoin literally dropped 7K after this, and extreme fear went from 11 to 14 yesterday. What do you think it's going to be at today, depending on what happens with the market? That's idiotic that it went up to 14. That was another sign that we're going down. It can't happen. That can't happen, guys. It can't happen. Now today, on the other hand, everybody's going to wake up and go, oh my God, it's over. It's over. The whole market's going to wake up today and say it just ended. That's what you want. Like, I feel more comfortable today than I did yesterday. I like the fact that algo's down still 5%. I like the fact that it came down and pushed past that drop target. You know, the problem when it drops past there is now you got to see if it reacts to 14 cents properly. The other thing that you can start to identify here, and we got to keep the old pattern. And guys, I love algo. I don't care how many people hate it. It's a very key player in Africa as they go digital, because it's labeled as a very poor area, which for the people it might be, but as a whole nation, it's very enriched. It's a very enriched nation. They might not share it with the people as much, but it is a very enriched nation. And they are very on board with IOTA, guy, or algo. And look at this, the way it dropped. This is why I'm having some cause for, like, okay, it's doing exactly what I wanted to see it do on this drop. It maintained that downtrending falling channel. Like, I'm not convinced that this is the end of the crypto market. I said it before and I'll say it again. For alt season to do what it needed to do, we needed to clear some of this out. Oh, I'm so happy this morning. Look at the total crypto market cap. And we'll get into this a little bit deeper. Good morning. 8:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, November 21st, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Is Fear and Greed at 11? No, it went up to 14. Hate to break it to everybody. It went from 11 to 14 from yesterday. Yes, it went up 3 from yesterday to today. I'm not joking. I was very disappointed to see that myself. That means too many people were buying it yesterday before the drop happened. And then after this drop happened, we'll see what happens. But I'm sitting here right now and we're all going to watch this together. I'm going to wait to see what happens here. There's a target of 72K. And there's a reason why I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to be patient. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here today together. We'll see how this shakes out. I do have a very eerie feeling this morning that when the USA wakes up, you know, if Asia's dumping, I don't know, man. Asia dumping, USA pump. Kind of looks like we're on the outside looking in here. We fell outside of this pattern, guys. Like, I can be honest, we fell outside of this pattern. That close under 199 was brutal. Brutal. Now we got to see if we get rejected here. That was a brutal rejection last night. And I still, like, looking at XDC, if it depends what the market does. If the market rolls over again in Bitcoin, because I would love to see Bitcoin. Listen, Michael Saylor's sitting there right now and his nuts are shriveled, even though he's controlled opposition for the USA. That's why I think we're getting at our finer points here where we can't really go down. And I'm telling you, we're getting to a point now where we can't really go down any farther. Michael Saylor's average price is like 74K. Tom, if you had 1,500, would you put it in XDCB or move once you felt comfortable to jump back in? I would not hate XDC. XDC, IOTA, Algo. There's a few other ones. But it's not that I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not as uncomfortable yesterday of entering. You know, it's not that at all today. This is a completely different mindset today. Today's the, okay, let's see, because of what we're doing right now, let's see if we're going to get some kind of reversal or if they're going to trap us this morning. We have it by the nuts right now. Whether you bought in at that drop last night and now you're up 5-7%, or whether or not you sold out before, and let's face it, we talked about this to go liquid before all of this. And the only thing that I want to see is, do we hold these support structures, or does this just come right down? Like, these candles are not great looking candles. Like this buyback, let's see how it looks in the 30. I'm a little disappointed here. Look at reversal, reversal, breaking down volume. Now, obviously, this is only 2 minutes. This should, I don't see why we wouldn't come up this morning, though. That's the thing. There's always that, unless we just fall through and they just want to kill us. We really should have a 10% retest here. At least from the falling area that fell out of support from the channel. It came all the way down to my 1056, though. Like, that's the thing. A lot of these came down right into my actual support structure. So I said, this is a decision point. XRP, I had $1.77 to $1.82 was my target. And it came down. I believe it hit $1.82. Yeah, I mean, it came into that zone. I'm so proud of our community for sticking with these targets. I really am, like, more than you guys could ever know. Because when there's a lot of optics out there, what did we do? We put it to the side and we said, listen, this is how it is. We can't control this. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like coming on here and saying, guys, we're fucked. Like yesterday I came on and I said, listen, Bitcoin 76K possible and XLM 11 cents and then everything skyrocket. Yeah. I mean, 76K, I would be happier than where it's at right now just because of that rising wedge technical breakdown could be around 72. But the other thing that I'm a little concerned with this morning is Ethereum. We've talked about where I think Ethereum's going, and now it's like we're one backtest failed resistance tap away from going there. Like, even if we come back up to 2,800 this morning, where are we at right now? Not too far, like $80, $100. It's not a big move. About a 2-3%. Man, oh man. This is dangerous, though. It's not often the USA wakes up and it goes into good news. So the others is down 5.6%. Look at that. I talked yesterday about exactly where all these were going to come first layer. 201, it came right to. Total we talked about 846. Can it hold? No, it didn't. Which means now it's either 628. Oh my God. If this were to break down, this is the caveat. Like if we get rejected and it does it properly, we're either looking at six. Oh man, that's a big drop if this breaks. That's what I mean. We're kind of at the make it or break it point. And I know it doesn't feel like it should be, but notice how we refilled this entire historic liquidation wick and then we fell through it and now we're on the rejection of getting, oh boy. That's why I said you got to make a decision here. I can't make it for you. Someone's got to make it for you. And yeah, I know yesterday was harder for me because my son wasn't feeling good, but I still stayed on top of this. I came on and I said, listen, everybody, did I come on one day earlier and everything that I had bought back to ride that resistance, did I not sell it live on air? I sold IOTA, I sold Algo, I sold XDC, I sold it all besides XRP and XRP Healthcare because you guys know the plan. I had already bought and sold, did what I needed to do. Had extra XRP. It's just a big story. XRP Healthcare is different to me because we bought it at 1.72 cents and went up to 50. Obviously, you got to take profit. I mean, what are you going to do? It went up 25, 30x. It's not like I'm going to just sit on it the whole time. Then I waited for it to come back down, get resupported, and then bought back at over 100,000 as it's been in the 2.5 or 3.5 cent zone. I couldn't care less if it goes to the 0.00 zone. That made me, it changed my whole outlook. XRP, the only reason that I do what I do, I bought it at 34. I had bought another bag in 38, sold that entire $5,000 worth at 38 cents when it got plus $3. Closer to 350 was the caveat. And I just sit on what I have there. There's certain things that I'm okay with, and then they got to prove it to me to go back the other way. So right now, I fully expect a rebound. Like I fully expect some kind of rebound this morning. Now, it's tricky. I admit it. It's tricky. But we're significantly oversold in the weeklies, the dailies, even the smaller time frames. The only thing we're not significantly oversold in is the monthly. And that's something that for me is always a cause for concern because we broke bearish. And if we want to completely reset this, which now we're getting to a fundamental point where now even the short setups, even for XLM, how we had it set up, now you're going to have to start going outside. We're going to have to go outside of this pattern. Or not, we don't have to reset it, but as far as our technicals. But what we have to see is now we're on the bottom side, and this could very well be rejection. That's what nobody, I think, is going to talk about maybe this morning. But now we're into that, we not only created the downward support that we fell underneath, now we could be getting rejected even as early as here for XLM. Like we created a very big problem here. We talked about it very clearly yesterday. Why does this keep changing this? YouTube keeps shutting down the comments. My tablet I'm watching on. It's how freaking ridiculous YouTube is. It does not want me to share what I have. I can promise you. I can promise you. Either way, it's been an honor, gentlemen. I'm going down with the ship. Yep. Going to be an ugly weekend. Crash. All the theater back coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic, the real some algo will take over. Look at the percentage dominance now and look back in 60 days. Yep, I don't agree. Just had Scorpio new moon yesterday. Scorpio is death, and we are in Mercury retrograde. Ooh, that's so true. Isn't it ironic how that happened? But remember, the easiest time to walk away is when the market has tanked. The hardest time to buy is when you get these historical drops that end up causing real big liquidity concerns, folks. This is the difference between a veteran trader and a rookie trader. Look at the technicals we've been waiting for. Did we not wait? And I know the monthly is kind of fidgeting, but right now, I mean, if I was a betting man, I would say that even if we are fucked, I'm telling you, it sucks that it's Friday though. Let's just put it that way. It sucks that it's Friday. Sucks that it's Friday. But at some point here, we're all going to be sitting here going, wow, 20% reversal on all these altcoins. That's crazy. And Epic is one I'm trying to keep watching because it's trying to maybe show us something, but every single time it makes this run up, like yesterday, we talked about how it was going to make a new low. And it made a new low. Now the question is it just going to run out of here? Or was this one of the premature tokens? It showed us like, hey, we're going to start railing, and then it just completely reverses. This is one of them in the early go that we got to pay attention to, whether we want to or not. XPR, another one that is a big signal for me. Had this big breakdown, had a big push back up, and now it's having another big breakdown. So even when we're showing signs of bounce, those tokens that have bounced have ended up falling much farther. I'm so glad even XRP Healthcare, it came back down into that 3 cent. I mean, all of this is putting in these topping formations. So if XRP Healthcare breaks from here, it could come down to 1.4. Like with some of these, it made me so much money that I'm not even looking at these until the future because there's nothing I can do about it. I got to let this shake out the way it's going to. All of this is like this. Do I feel comfortable? Hell no. Am I comfortable? No, I'm not comfortable. I feel like they're about to... Let's not get into that, what they're going to do to the USA. But they always do it to the USA. I see the gifted sub. If you guys like what I do, if you guys appreciate the fact I'm here every day, if you like the fact that I keep you out ahead of the market, and I'm not afraid to tell you to get rid of everything when it's about to drop like it just did twice, and then I got you out of everything before that historic liquidation, I'll keep pounding my chest the best I know, the best way I know how, and try to point you in the right directions of the chart. But I am not a wizard. I can't see the future. I can only dictate it based on the charts. And what it's telling me right now is if there was ever a time for a big reversal when nobody's expecting it, now would be the time. Michael Saylor and all these different countries are actually fucked right now. A lot of these ETFs are fucked. Because listen, they have the carry trade. So on a lot of this stuff, the only reason why it's valuable, it's so true. Man, oh man, I'm going to be interested to see how these markets open up. XRPC is down almost to 20. Wow. I know they're trading weird in pre-market because they've been up and down. Honestly, I'm not afraid right now. I think we're going to surprise some people. So, what did I do in my portfolio? It's pretty simple. I waited. They bounced down into these zones. I told myself before if they came down here and we ended up in these extremely oversold, I would buy back on the proper drop. And then I would ride it until it broke structure and got a rejection. And then if I had to, I could sell it if I choose to for another 30% drop, which if it's going to happen, it's going to have to come with a volatile retest, buy support, sell resistance until the structure breaks. Buy support, sell resistance till the structure breaks. Can I keep repeating that? Buy support, sell resistance until the structure breaks, one way or the other. Buy support, sell resistance, buy support, sell resistance, buy support, sell resistance, buy support, sell resistance until the structure breaks. If it breaks down, you sell the breakdown. Buy support, sell resistance, buy support. Just keep repeating that real quick. Buy support, sell resistance, buy support. And if you keep remembering that and you have the pattern set up, so good morning, Juice. It's so weird seeing some of the names because everybody's name's slightly different. Like I can see all of your added stuff. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. Have I even convinced anybody that of anything this morning? Like, do you start to see what I'm talking about strategy wise? Like, who cares if it goes way to the bottom? If you're buying the cycle and you're buying the rotational consolidation and then it breaks down, who says you have to be slave to the bank or slave to the crypto? That's why you got to get on exchanges that you don't have the extraordinary fees. That's why look in my video description below and our pinned comments this morning. Please, I encourage you. I encourage my entire community. Look at all of that. Look at WEEX for IOTA. Look at BITUNIX for XPR Proton. If you're on BITUNIX and you want to trade IOTA, so be it. They have it now in spot. Lowest spot and leverage trading fees between BITUNIX and TOOBIT and WEEX. So those are fine. Those are no KYC exchanges. So that is in your favor. But just remember, with where everybody's at with their positions, unless this is just over, and we've never ended a cycle, remember that when the fear and greed is this low, it's just, that's the honest to God truth. We haven't. Does it mean we're comfortable? Absolutely not. Does it mean that we're going to the moon? No. Does it mean you have to set things up in a certain way and then you have to have a plan? Like, you have to have a plan. That's all. You have to have a plan. Is my plan the best plan? Probably not. But I was on the money from $1.77 to $1.82 buy zone for XRP, and now you'd be up 11 cents. You know, I was on the money about the IOTA buy zone, the algo buy zone, at least for this drop. Now, does this mean it plays out and stays there? Absolutely not. But it seems to me that this is where a lot of people after yesterday are going to go, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm not buying nothing. Yesterday, Axis, or even Algo was at 15 something yesterday. Now it's barely. So I think a lot of people are going to sit here and go, you know what, Tom? I'm done. I don't give a rat's ass about this market anymore. You can keep talking about whatever the hell you want, but I don't trust this market anymore. Good. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to. Honestly, that is what I want to hear. I want people to be so irritated, so annoyed, so disheveled that they can't see straight. Does that make sense? I don't want you to be able to see straight. I don't. I don't want anybody to be able to think straight. I don't want anybody to think that the market's going to ever rebound. I want everybody to do exactly what they're doing today. Tom, it's over. Tom, it's over. That's all I get. Tom, it's over. I know, everybody. I get it. I'm watching it just like you guys are, right? So, I get the feelings. I do. I get the fact that it's hard to get in the right spot. Trust me, more than anybody, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I really do. Right now, the decision is, do I buy that copy trade back on this reversal candle, or do I wait? Because it didn't, well, I mean, it filled this out pretty good. We'll see. It's back within the box. But don't worry, I'll get into what I did. I'm just trying to break this down in a way to where you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to do something that he did just because he did it, or I'm just going to, no, I don't want you doing that. I want you to own it. Because who knows, this could very well just fall right through this morning after we get the small retest. I don't know. I just know that we have to have a big volatile spike back up. There's just too much liquidity down here. And I think at least we should be looking for a bounce to 88K if it does start running back up. In fact, there's still that opportunity of coming all the way to 100K after one of these drops. And this, remember I said yesterday, the next drop is the drop to start buying for the retest. Now, it might not be the ultimate low, but it's a good drop bottom to buy for the next retest because we're going to be so oversold in stochastic. You know, that was the reason I pushed that message yesterday. Not because I think that it's the grand all be all and maybe it's never going down again. But I do have a pretty fundamental understanding. I have an understanding of what I see here, I think. CSHX real quick. Again, they come to the bottom of the zone. When they come into the areas we talk about, like, that's when we have to start paying attention. And it absolutely came into this area now. Before this, it was still working its way down. And now you see the daily's way oversold. Weekly's way over. I mean, can't see the weekly on that chart. We can go to this one to see it. I mean, look how like this is everything that I ever wanted for these. Now, if the daily pushes us farther down, we're gonna know based on a rejection, but you're not gonna know till the rejection. So again, where's this rejection come? Well, looking at this chart, I targeted the next move was 8-3 for a support resistant structure. If we get above 8-3, I still think now we'll retest that. That's what I'm saying. All these are set up for a retest. I know it's going into the weekend, so it makes it a little tricky, but maybe that's by design. Could be by design. I don't know. But, you know, this is where this is the shit show, man. This is what I always talk about. When it's time to take a shot, it's not going to seem like it. And when it's time not to take a shot, it's going to feel like it is. I mean, the USDT did exactly what I was hoping for. Now it's starting to reverse here a little bit. So could we round the top here at the same time we could have a pump? Well, if this comes back down to even retest that 5.5%, which it really should, maybe it could go up a little higher. Maybe it retest. But anyhow, what can I say, folks? What can I say? What else? Trying to go over my news and notes here to see what I like. And if this would stop closing out on me, it's so annoying. I don't understand why it keeps closing out. I really don't. Yeah, fear and greed, we don't know what it's going to be in 8 hours, but it definitely went from 11 to 14. But at some point, it's going to have that kind of a phase. So, yeah, I told you it's not going to be easy when it starts doing this at all. I'm just of the buy support, sell resistance till the structure breaks. Buy support, sell resistance till the structure breaks. Just like with XDC. Just like with XDC. We sold that 6% pump up here so that we could buy when it got closer to the bottom. Now let's line this up. Now, if this is the way it did it, there is some formulation here because you got rejected here, back up, rejected, support, 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 support. There is some confluency there. Now, is that the end all be all? I don't know. We had 4-6, but it was actually 4-7 with the way it bounced down. So now we need to see if we're going to get any kind of bounce back. I mean, XDC compared to some of them looks like if we continue down, it's got room. I mean, the daily's oversold. The weekly's way oversold. So now it becomes, do we break this structure for XDC and go to the next level? All I can say to you guys is you can't worry about that until we get rejected or until we start pushing that next layer. So you can't really worry about things you can't worry about. Like SHX, when I sold it, it was at 1.0 something cents. And it's, you know, it's slightly different now. The pricing is way different now than it was. Does that mean it's the right time to buy? Nobody knows. You know, nobody knows. That's the hard part about all. I don't know. You know, I don't know everything. I know some things. I would like to believe I know more than a lot of people that try to do what we do. But I don't know everything, and I'm not going to act like I do. I just have a very strict setup that I follow, and that's why I couldn't buy yesterday because it didn't go into my strict standard. But yeah, that's I guess that's the best way I can describe this whole thing. Does that make sense? Am I making sense or do I sound like an idiot? I would love to know either way. If I sound like an idiot, please let me know and I can try to change the way I'm talking about this. I don't necessarily think I sound like an idiot, to be honest with you. ISO 20022 is in effect tomorrow. Partially. I only sound like an idiot to an idiot. Yep. I mean, I can understand that. That's not, I don't hate that. Um, and like I said before, I'm not looking to expand my portfolio. I'm looking to more contract it when we had these drops, if you remember. And that just means going more unified into what I believe. Um, that doesn't mean that I'm right. I'm never gonna say that I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm just gonna say that I have a very set up plan. So I don't let my emotions dictate my response. And like today, I didn't let it dictate what I was going to do. I just let the charts, when they hit certain spots, I was like, you know what? Not much I can do. It's in the zone. So if you want to know what I did, and I don't know if we're going to stay like this, I don't know if I'm going to have to sell it back out, because more than likely I will have to sell it out if it breaks down again. But I'm looking for those retest zones now. Remember, what comes down has to retest back up to hit the next drop zone. So for good or worse, when I bought back in, I was able to buy, instead of 50,000 algo, I have 60,000 algo. Instead of 100,000 IOTA, I think 120,000 algo. So I picked up an extra 20,000 tokens. Remember, I started with 40,000 on these buy and sells on the drops. Now I'm not concerned about a few percent drop. I'm just looking to increase my tokens without having to put anything in. To buy 10,000 more tokens and add money, I would have to spend an extra $1,300 for algo alone. I was able to do that by getting out of the way without putting money on. For IOTA, it would have been another $300, $400 or so. Was able to do that. For a great example is SHX. When I sold it, I sold 200 and something, like 250,000. I was able to buy back 500,000 under 008 after selling it over a penny. XDC, I was able to pick up, I believe it was 272,000. And I'm not saying this is the end all be all. And no, we're all different. I don't know. YouTube changed the way that the names are shown to me, and so now I don't know who a lot of people are. I know Mrs. Stott, and thanks for being in Towns Order 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Dirty Train Rider, thanks for being in Towns Order 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Jason, Ringo Starr. What do you think about tomorrow, though? Tomorrow's interesting. Tomorrow's going to be interesting because I know not the whole ISO goes live, just from what I know. But that it's interesting. It's interesting what comes tomorrow. I'll just say that. Because we know we have the delay until 2028, which is the biggest problem in December for the full implementation. But that doesn't mean that some of the utility tokens might not start, coming back up a little bit. Like I said, today, with that extended drop, I don't know if we're going to immediately fall back out and I'm going to have to liquidate everything in a day, 5 days, a month. But now, for me to do that, it's got to prove to me that we're going to break structure. Like I said, I'm a guy who buys support, sells resistance. I keep it very simple. So now, the only way I would sell this is if it proved 13 cents was broken and that it was going to get rejected, and then I would have to wait for 10 cents. Other than that, it's come down to this bottom area in a lot of ways. So I feel a lot better today than yesterday. I'll just keep saying that, but I'm not convinced 100% that we're not going to 72. But I'm also not convinced that we're not going to come up and tap these upper liquidity zones now. It could be a strategic area for them to do it towards a thinly traded weekend. The bias going into a weekend would be that it's just going to continue dropping. I get it. And should you follow my moves? No, you should not. I'm just somebody who sells before it drops and I buy back after I think we're getting close to a reversal. I never hit the top and I never buy the bottom. So I get close, but I don't demand myself to be that perfect. I just want to make sure I buy the right rotation. Like, had I been up, this is the one that bothers me because I really wanted to buy it when it made that breakdown. But that chance has been probably missed now because we're going to have a nice reversal. Likely should pick back up here. So I may, for the copy trade sense, because we sold it at 106-ish or 104, now being at 0095, I very well might just pick that up and see if we hold this structure now. And that's one that it's just a design thing, so. Man, it really feels like, though, if we were going to do something today, We got to watch this, though, because it very well could just fall right out. But you like to see these exhaustion wicks like this. These are some nice, these could be some nice exhaustion wicks. And if MQ was in here, if everybody else was in here, these are the zones where you can start to see like, hey, these are the bottom liquidity zones we're trying to tap, where we went down to overnight. But I'll be here no matter what, whether it's bullish or bearish. I'm going to tell you what I do in the high times. Like yesterday, I said I'm not interested. I said when it comes down to those zones after this next drop, and I even told everybody I'm buying the next drop, whether it's good or bad, and it plays back to the top, that's something I don't know. Remember, we bought the bottom on the big drop, then we had to sell back out, then we bought it again. And then after we got rejected up about 25%, we waited for it to come down 10%, sold out for those 15. Now it's the same. It's rinse and repeat, folks. It's rinse and now if I had held everything and now I'm down all this money, well, yeah, I'd feel different. But I feel great right now. I feel great. Sitting here with 120,000 IOTA. I told you I can find my portfolio. Notice 120,000 XDC or 272,000 XDC, 500,000 SHX, 120,000 IOTAs, up to 60,000 algo. So I gained 10,000 algo without having to add a single red cent because it dropped. Now, could it drop more? Hell yeah. And then I'll be looking for the next opportunity. And then if it drops again, I'll be looking for the next time. I'm not convinced this morning that this isn't just going to fall apart, like I came on and said. But I still think there's always going to be these levels of retest. And it's just, can we catch those levels? It's so hard because this could come right down to 72 right now. Right down. And we could come right to the next layer. That's what makes it so difficult. So I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy at all. I'm just telling you, like, to me, I like that we came through the CME gap zone. I like that we came all the way down to my technical drop after this bear flag setup. So now we've cleared out the short liquidity. That doesn't mean we've cleared out at all. It doesn't mean we've cleared the technical target. It just means now we're going to have to come back up and prove whether it's coming up to 88, whether it's coming all the way back up and retesting the rising wedge breakdown, whether this was a fake out and they did this on purpose. So Harv, now Harv is MQT. What the hell is going on here? Oh yeah, $1.74 is not off the table. Not off the table. A big drop here still is not off the table. So I'm saying this is not, we might not be close to done yet. We just got into my zone where I wanted. That's all. And now I can watch it creatively. If we come through 252, well, now we got to make another decision. And the total. If it comes through the total 3, we already know we're below. If it gets rejected and then it wants to keep falling, we got a decision. The others, we came down to the support structure. So that was another hit to me that told me it's time to buy the alts. But remember, the others are everything outside the top 10. So everything I told you I bought, they're all outside the top 10. Besides, like, but I didn't have to buy XRP. You know, I don't like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't like Solana. I'm not a fan of Chainlink right now at the pricing because every cycle it seems to do the same thing. If I was buying that, I would want to buy it cheaper. But then again, where it fell back down to, it's at the same levels it always goes to, typically on consignment. But anyhow, forget that. Forget Chainlink. But look, total. I mean, the others. Think about this. Sell resistance, buy support. This means you would sell the alts, right? Like this. Sell the alts, buy them back. Sell the alts, buy them back. So until this breaks, I ride structure. Now, if this breaks, we go to 168 and we're fucked. We drop 40%. That's why I say you can't hold anything if we go there. Right now, everything that was looking against us is now looking favorable to where we could have a possible return rally. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. But realistically, if we drop out here, it's going to get ugly. Okay. How far can this drop? I mean, we could come all the way down to some of these exhaustion wicks. I would probably say you could go from here in the 4-hourly. Because that's where the candle body and the wick body down to this wick back up. That's probably how I would do it. So again, how much lower can we go? It all depends, my friends. Yes, this is what I would look for to buy when the four. Remember, I said I was waiting not just for it to come to the areas, but what did we talk about the stochastic? I wanted the 4-hourly to catch up to the rest of the stochastic, the daily to catch up to the weekly, and the monthly to be in a favorable spot. 4-hourly, daily, weekly, extremely oversold. Monthly, look at that now, extremely oversold. So, Tom, you do a great job. Thank you. Good morning as well. You're welcome, everybody. And I'm not coming on here saying that my positions are going to be massive profit. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it comes into areas where I target at for big drops. Not any different than I did that last drop. Okay. Not any different than I did the drop before that. And you know, everybody said a couple days ago, you're either going to be a hero or you're going to look like a big idiot. Well, fortunately, this time around, I looked like a hero because I liquidated and then we had this huge crash again. Did he cook it? Okay. Well, my son just got his first feeding, like via his G tube, since being sick and everything. So, because last time he threw it up, but now he held food down yesterday and everything is medicines. So, is XRP going to keep dropping? It's a good question, my friend. Excellent question. It really is. XRP right now, it went to that $1.77 to $1.82 zone, which I'm very happy about. The next area we really want to push past is this little resistance at $1.96-ish and get back up into this pattern. To not get back into this pattern would show rejection. Then the next area, if we lose $1.77, would be down to that $1.70. Well, $1.82 if we lost that. It extends down, but I kept talking $1.77 to $1.82 is my magical zone for this retracement before we get a nice volatile push. And it came down to $1.81, $1.82. So, I don't know. These are the parts where you simply don't know. You only can trust what you put down. And then if that breaks, we got to try again. This is one of those you can buy, you can see how it reacts, and then you just might have to buy it and sell and do it again once it breaks a certain structure. You know? Had a small rebound on the portfolio this morning. Nothing incredible. So, I'll be as honest as I can. I don't know if we're going to go right to 72 or 76. It seems to me that where we're at and all of these indicators and how we're set up, I think a lot of people have just jumped out a window when they woke up this morning. Now, I think the biggest way they would jump out a window is if we had some kind of reverse rally. And then it would force people like, oh my God, I didn't buy XRP at $1.82 when it dropped, and now it's back at $2 kind of thing. Or I didn't buy Bitcoin when it dropped to 80, and now it's back at 88. I just try to go with human emotion. Because, I mean, these bounces are just starting the reversal this morning. Back through, back down, rejected, big wick down, and then it came back up. Trying to have a 2-hour reversal. Volume to speak of, we don't know because it's only been 8 minutes. Hourly, trying to push up, not showing a great volume portfolio. Looking to see if we get a first layer rejection. These are all things that we have to pay attention to. We want to keep having a fundamental and formulated idea. But remember yesterday, I'm like, no way I'm buying that until the next drop. And I said on this next drop, I'm going to be a buyer. When it makes this next drop, and I showed all the areas where I wanted it to hit for me to be a buyer. And it's not, remember I said it's not the all-time buy. It's for the rotation, unless it proves that this ends up breaking down. Because see how this came from 337-ish on the breakdown. What was it? 341 all the way down to 275. At some point, you're going to retest the drop point. Now, whether it's retesting it right here at 3 trillion, that could be an area. That really could be an area where it wants to retest. And I'm not going to deny that. If it falls underneath anymore, 2.52 trillion, but we're a lot closer to 2.52 than we were. Let's line this up to make sure it's proper, because it goes all, this is one that goes way back in the pattern. Yeah, way back. So, and falling outside of here, the only concerning thing with the total is we didn't retest this after the drop. It's unusual if we're going to have a huge rising wedge breakdown to not retest it at some point. Like I said, we did the short area before, you know, just something like this. We could take the whole pattern, but we did the short area. So, I mean, eventually it looks like that. If we want to take this whole pattern, which I'm not a big fan of doing this, though. I'm really not a fan of doing it like this because I know that it reset and then you had a real symmetry. I like the symmetry. I like when it gets into the tightening part to measure it in the tightening phase like this. I like measuring the tightening up. Then you get two different targets. So we'll see how this plays out. This is phenomenal. This is like what I say. I like this. I should be nervous, but I'm not. I went from being up 20K to now down 1K. I'm a dumbass for not taking profits. I don't know if I'd call you a dumbass. I would just say you're learning. You can't learn this stuff without learning it. So without being a victim of it, even if I say it a million times about how you don't want to give it all back, like, don't you guys agree, like, thinking about it, why I would feel like I'm in a better position? I didn't give it all back. I took a massive amount of profit. And then I've been riding it on each of these buy and sells just as it told me. I always tell everybody you got to buy, support, sell, resistance till the structure breaks. So again, resistance, buy, support, sell, resistance, buy, support, sell, resistance, buy, support. So it's just until the structure breaks. If this structure breaks, you sell the break, buy the breakdown. And that would be about 784 if it comes through. So, as I said when I came on, once again, the bitch is the market and we're in control. We got out of the way when we were supposed to. And now when everybody's afraid to get back in the way, we're not, because we didn't lose all that money. Period. But my yard now, guess what? Like you said, your hardest lesson for me not taking profit, but now I'm formidable. Exactly. That's the mindset. I didn't get to this point where I was comfortable selling when everybody was afraid to miss out if I didn't make the same mistakes over and over. Do you know how many times I watch different markets and I just let my profit ride? And then I'm like, son of a fucking bitch. And then by the time you sell, you're down. Do you know how hard it was for me to do what I did with gold and silver and mining stocks to just let it figure it out now? My gold and silver precious metals, like, I don't sell gold and silver bullion. The mining stocks are speculative, so I treat them as such. I try to buy oversold, sell overbought when we get to that big point. And the monthly tells me with gold, silver, and mining stocks, we've got about a 20 to 30% correction. And I'm not talking about the bullion, I'm talking about the mining stocks. Now, the bullion looks like to me gold at some point, if it goes to 43, maybe it goes to 44 first. It still looks like it's going to either test the uptrend at 3,500-ish, silver around 40, unless we blow past this area, which is not impossible. It's not. It's really not impossible. You know, that's why you got to make a real hard decision with some of your stuff. Like, mining stocks are tricky because I'm not necessarily saying you should buy here, but if you have them, obviously if you're up 150%, how we were, take profit. But, you know, it's not over. I think Q2 of 26 is going to be another real big area for gold and silver. Now, I'm looking at some of these because I think Dolly Varden might be an early teller about how it just broke down and it's coming back towards its structures. I think this is a tell-all. I think this is what a lot of them are going to end up doing. I think a lot of them, one of these days, we're going to get a 10 to 20% drop in all of mining stocks like we did before, and then this would be the one that might snap the neck for a short term. But I'll stay transparent in this market. If we drop out of this formation, I'll be updating you on it. I got to go back and make sure my son's okay. So, yeah, but here's the thing. I see all of you talking about who are down. It's too late to sell. You're right, it is. You're down at support structures now. This would be the idiotic spot to just liquidate after that drop. You have to wait for this now to break that formation. That's why this is hard, guys. That's why it's hard. Now that it's back in this zone, it's technically in the opportunity zone. Right? Opportunity zone. All of this. Now, Epic is reversing quicker than a lot of the markets. So I don't know if it's going to continue this from way down here, but it very well, I don't know. This is the one that kind of did it weird. It kind of started to show us the reversal early because it came almost right back down to this entire wick at 47. This came all the way down to 49. So, like, it came down a lot farther and a lot quicker. And it's been showing us that potential for that upward volatility. It just hasn't happened. And I was happy to see this made a new low yesterday because from the pattern right here and this consolidation, I knew it had to break this lower structure at 51. And then when it came to 40, that's interesting. This isn't going to need much. It just needs market continuation. Man, this is all so fascinating to me. Isn't this fascinating? Some fascinating stuff. But as I say every day, a lot of volatility. Tons of volatility. I think this is exactly what the market makers are intending to do. I think this is how, and now they came out and said likely no rate cuts, and they said that the chance of no rate cuts are increasing for next month. I'll believe it when I see it. But let's brace here in case we do have a further breakdown. If you have capital on the side, find a spot where you think is appropriate. Like I said, this might not be it yet. This might not be it yet. This might still be the continuation down to 2460 or 23 something. We could come up to, I think we should come up to possibly 28, 24 to see if we get rejected. There's no real way of knowing if we're just going to roll over because, the USA starts waking up, thinking that there might be good deals, and then they just continue the drop. That's also a possibility. So in no way am I saying that I'm a genius, that I think that these are the stone cold bottoms. I was going to say fuck it and just sell algo and 80. A terrible decision, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. I'm not a buyer for XRP even at these prices. So it's a difference with XRP. XRP is still way up here compared to the rest. Now, it's going to be dangerous though, folks. In no way is this going to just be a cakewalk. So let's just see what happens today. Let's see if we found any kind of support so that we can do this next push. If not, it's going to be a quick in and out if it breaks this structure, for all of this. So be safe, be smart. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you for your time. And only thing we can do is watch, see how we shake back out, see if this in fact is hitting a bottom, or if again, we're going to have to play the same game, breaks down the wall, and then we're going to have to do it again lower because I'm not afraid to keep doing this if I have to. So we'll see what happens. And